Since my last video of me talking about whatever game I want to talk about was so popular, I'm doing it again. So, Lost Records Bloom and Rage. What is it? Well, the store description says, embark on a new narrative journey by the creators of Life is Strange. Film your summer of 1995 and create memories of a lifetime with your new friends. 27 years later, confront the dark secrets that made you all promise to never speak again after the fateful summer. I love Don't Nod and their games, so I went in really wanting to love it. I can't say I loved it though. I don't think I liked it. It was just okay. It felt like a nothing burger, which is shocking coming from me considering I love a lot of things that aren't popular. I'm not here to glaze Life is Strange either. Even though I love that franchise, I can recognize its flaws as well. Maybe I'll make another video about the whole franchise. I could take the lazy route and compare them, but I don't like doing that, considering Lost Records isn't even meant to be in the same universe. It's its own story. I see potential, but it has a lot of weak points. So let me get into it. The story takes place in 1995 and also 2022. We play as a teenager and adult Swan. Most of the game takes place in the past. Swan has 3 friends during the summer. There's Nora, Kat, and Autumn. Their characterization is probably some of the strongest parts of the game, which is obviously important as a story game. The only thing that beats it is the graphics for me. I tried to play it on my potato PC before I went to my mom's. It's a bit blurry and it lagged my stream, but it wasn't unbearable. The PC at my mom's is better, literally because it's new. I haven't upgraded anything. I also can't because I have no money. Anyway, I felt like the characters were a bit different because they didn't fall into any archetype. I think the most basic was Swan, which is unfortunate since we play her, but also makes the most sense since we make her decisions. Let's get into the characters. Nora in 1995 is alternative. Well, I guess they're all alternative, which is kind of why I connected to them more. I think I too dress alternatively, and I have very few friends. So a group of 4 all girls is really relatable. She has the shortest hair, she dyes the bangs. I think the dye is supposed to represent her unhappiness with her person as a teenager, since she likes women but doesn't know it yet. You don't hear a lot about her dad, but she does have a stepmother. She hates her stepmother, and her mother is absent or rarely shows up in her life. Her mom took her shopping, and I think she does that to make up for the fact she's pretty absent in Nora's life. She smokes weed and smokes cigarettes, also probably as a cope. Always offers it to the player, but since I'm afraid of addiction in real life, I usually have my characters decline. When I say usually, I mean always. She likes to act confident and sure in her decisions, but in reality, she just ends up being a follower because she isn't the best when it comes to plans. She wants to be a singer, though none of the girls are truly gifted in that area. No offense, it's just
I'll make you scream and you'll be under my spell.
you know, they are just teenagers. They do practice their instruments and singing in Nora's garage. Autumn throughout the game dyes her hair as well. Strictly just the ends of her hair though. She's a lot more reserved. She herself says she felt like a complete outcast among the group of outcasts. She's an army head, previously attending an army camp because of her father. I believe she only really went along with the group's plans to feel included, since she said her grievances with practically every idea we ever participated in. We never really see or hear about her parents much. She works at an ice cream store and is the guitarist for the band. The band gets a name called Bloom and Rage. See guys, look. We said the name. Ooh. Anyway, Autumn is a lot more set in her decisions, rarely ever going back on what she believes in. There's smaller details like how she likes rum and coke, and her brother tested HIV positive, but they're not general character descriptions like for her, just her story. Now on to Kat. Kat, although takes the sideline in the beginning, she ends up being the main character, aside from us. She's a very intense person, always standing up for what she believes in, even defending us against her sister and her sister's bitch-ass boyfriend. She's alternative by listening to punk music, though her outfits aren't usually basic either, just not as all-presenting as someone like Nora. Although, as the story progresses, I didn't put this in, but her outfits do start to change, potentially because of the abyss, but also just because, you know, her life is changing and she wants to change through her outfits too. Her not originally dressing super punk can be explained by her family being heavily Christian. She explains that she used to be a good Christian girl, but changed as she got older, hence her outfits changing. I may be taking a leap, but I doubt a girl who just started her punk journey would change her style entirely in one day. Now, the gameplay itself is about 4 teens and their experiences through the summer. I would do a summary of the whole game, but my 10-hour long playthrough, I'm kind of lazy. I want to make a video talking about it, but I'm not motivated to write a long ass script about everything in the game. Now, as you may have noticed, I think I'm kind of the target audience for this game. I'm alternative on a good day. I'm a young 19. Please don't remind me I'm leaving the teen title in a year. Thank you. I'm queer, at least identifying under the A spectrum. Don't ask me about my sexuality. I don't know, bro. I just work here. Anyway, I love story games. So what went wrong? I remember a review that said all the characters are just some stereotype. I can't agree with that entirely. Nora, I could see she's alternative and smokes and drinks along with parent problems. Autumn doesn't really feel like a stereotype. Pretty real average girl. I could see myself being friends with her along with Kat, even Swan. Swan actually kind of reminds me of a friend I have. Loving hiking and bugs and animals, along with finding bones and really shy with people she doesn't know. I don't have a problem with these characters. The only game to ever make me cry is Life Strange 2. But the death of Kat kind of hit. It put a lump in my throat, if that makes sense. Spoiler, Kat dies. She has a very strong approach to her death, accepting it, and wanting to do something with the life she has left. So let me ask again, what went wrong? I could talk about how beautiful and realistic the characters felt. How did the game fall flat? Finally down to the problem. I said it in the beginning, a nothing burger. The story frames itself as this mystery when you unravel as the story progresses, but you don't really. Sure, you find out what happened that summer, but you never find out what the Abyss is, which in theory you don't need to. I kind of liked it being this mysterious thing. You don't find out what it wants, what it does, what effect it has on the environment, or why it changes, or why it's there. Nothing. The Abyss seems to have some effect on the girls, but nothing supernatural. It also seemed to affect someone that didn't even interact with it. So basically, Kat's sister's whack job boyfriend set the cabin that they were all in on fire. On top of that, holds the sickly Kat down on the ground while the cabin's on fire. So I stabbed his ass. Once we're out of there, the final showdown is right next to the Abyss. Kat fights Corey, and Corey pulls her down into the Abyss. You want to know what they decided to do? That's right, forget it all happened. What? That makes no sense. They say Kat wanted us to forget and move on, which like goes back on everything she stood for. She wanted to be remembered. She literally made a letter that was supposed to be given to the group after she died, making a box to commemorate all the adventures they had. I gave a sacrifice to the Abyss. A pin. My wish, or Swan's, was to stay together. She wanted the friend group to stay together. And in my playthrough, the Abyss didn't even make that wish come true. I got the Swan ending because I was too bad at socializing apparently. Swan ended up alone. Nora and Autumn left, and she went to the Abyss alone. Once at the Abyss, she promises to find Kat and presumably jumps in. I say presumably because we don't even get to see that. The game ends. It seems like there should be more. It's unfinished, and I'm not alone in this sentiment. I heard that the company doesn't even plan to continue the Bloom and Rage storyline. Usually with those endings, I'm excited, like theorizing what could have happened. But the game is full of filler and doesn't explain anything. It's like they had an idea and then realized they actually had to produce some kind of story. It's framed as a mystery what happened during that summer. We end up finding out what happened, but it's not a murder mystery. It can't be a mystery about the Abyss since we don't find out what it is or what it truly does. The mystery literally just ends up being about the events of the summer, which is stupid. I thought maybe that the Abyss caused memory loss, like you go into the Abyss and everyone forgets who you are. That isn't the case since Corey is a suspect in a crime and Kat is reported missing, which begs the question, how did we forget what happened that summer? How could we? It makes no sense. I sat down and gave 10 hours for a story that leads to nothing. Maybe a second game could save it, but buying another game to get a story that we should have gotten in the first game is annoying. I don't know. I don't get the point of this game. It just seems like they didn't know how to end it. I'm gonna yap a little bit, unscripted, just because I feel like it. But I was saying I don't get the point of this story. It's like it didn't have a meaning. I felt like it didn't lead up to actually anything important. It wasn't trying to tell a certain message either. Like, sure, you could be like, alternative kids are bullied and that's bad, but it's like, it wasn't actually like giving me anything to care about. Like, sure, also it could be like, hunting's bad and, you know, deers are put in terrible conditions, which like I agree with, but that was like such a small part of the overarching story, so I feel like you can't even attribute anything to that either. I'm not sure the story they were trying to tell because the Abyss barely does anything either. Like when I say it barely affects the kids, I mean their eyes glow and like their personality changes slightly. Like I feel like it could barely even be attributed to the Abyss because all they do is stand up for themselves. And it's like, sure, that could be the Abyss, but also it could just be character growth because, you know, it's been so long and they were bullied by this guy for so long. Not even bullied, just straight up harassed and assaulted by this guy. So it's like, you know, at some point there's a breaking point and you can't even like say, oh, it was the Abyss. And again, with like the swan ending that I got, it's like I feel like that almost shouldn't be an option because her wish was that everyone stays together. And I guess it is like a actions have consequences. So since I couldn't socialize well enough, I don't get the best ending. But it's like technically then in my run, the Abyss did absolutely nothing. The Abyss did not. There was no point of the Abyss. Like we don't explore the Abyss. The Abyss is, it's cool, it's pretty, but like it didn't do anything for my playthrough. Honestly, I really think I'm not trying to like rewrite or say I could write a better story because I can't. I don't have any experience. Like I feel like the Abyss at least should have like had something to do with their memories, because us forgetting like the whole summer and me having to like play through and like relive it. Like I get that's the whole point of the game is like for me to relive that summer, but I think it would make more sense if the Abyss was kind of like fighting you and like kind of erasing your memory. I think that could be more interesting and kind of like, you know, like piecing together your memory, and then maybe during the playthrough some like crazy stuff happens because the Abyss is fighting you and like trying to erase your memory while you're patching it together. Like you're kind of slowly realizing like, hey, this isn't normal, and like why are my memories looking like this? I mean, maybe in the end, because we did sacrifice to the Abyss, maybe in the end the true sacrifice was Cat, but there was nothing like alluding to that, and it's not like the Abyss was like growing. Like as far as I know, that it wasn't like forcing them to come back. It just happens that they like alluding to the fact that the Abyss had some like sway over their opinions or like their actions almost. I mean, they do get more, like Cat especially does get more like violent almost, but I feel like that's kind of her pent up and almost normalization of her kind of abusive household, because they're always like yelling at each other. Now, I know a large majority kind of like, you know, loves this game, and that's totally fine, you know, different opinions. Trigger warning opinions, fucking like. But for me, it just felt like there should be more, and I know a lot of people are also saying that they felt like there should be more. The problem is, if you're gonna make like a second game and then like give the story that should have been in the first one, it's like kind of sleazy, and like I don't want to pay for another game that should be in the first one. They also gotta make money somehow, so I was thinking maybe like a DLC, but you might like would have to pay for it because they weren't planning on making another. Like it's like so complicated, so I kind of feel like they just gotta take the L, or at least for me, I feel like they kind of just gotta take the L and like learn from, you know, maybe what they were lacking in this one, and then like make a new one, you know, better off. And of course this is like a totally, they have nothing to base it off of like Life is Strange originally. Like it's a whole new story and like a new concept, so there might like be faults in, unfortunately, but there will be faults in like, you know, creating a new story. Not everything's gonna be perfect because they have nothing to build it on. Not to also like excuse it, because, you know, there are original stories that, you know, obviously I don't think anything's perfect, which is kind of the beauty of man-made things, but you know, there are really good stories that are original, so, you know, kind of like back and forth for me. Anyway, those are just my thoughts. I'm so excited to edit all this, yay. No, but those are just my thoughts. I just wanted to yap about what I thought about the new game, because, you know, love the company, I love story games, and, you know, I just want them to grow and do better, so that's just what I think. Bye!